Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Okay, so one of the parts I've ordered has now arrived, and that's the bias valve or brake proportion valve. So that alters the pressure going to the rear brake, so you can adjust that while you're driving along in the car. So I've made a little bracket, as you can see there, just out of 3mm plate, and just bent that, drilled out and put two rivnuts or rivet nuts into the floor of the car. So I've just put some random bolts in there at the moment just to hold it in place so I can run the plumbing into it. So I'm going to do that right now. Yippee! So that's the bias valve all in now. So now I'm going to P-clip the brake lines down with the 6mm P-clips, which yeah, they've got a rubber insert to protect the pipe. And I'll be drilling these out, or I'll use a Tet screw first just to locate them, just to get it all in place, and then I'll drill them all out and I'll put in 6mm riv nuts. So that'll just make it really easy for assembly then, because these have all got to come back out again for paint. So that's one of the rivnuts inserted. So as you can see, it makes it really easy. Yeah, having one of these tools. This is just a cheapie, but hey, it does everything up to about M6. So anything bigger than that, really, you need a more powerful tool. So, but it just makes life so much easier, especially for putting in brake lines and stuff like this, because I mean, I could just use those tech screws, but they just seem so temporary. It's just so much nicer to have those rivnuts, and then I can now wind in an M6 bolt straight into there, and if I ever need to change the line, it's, you know, quite easy to unbolt it, quickly unbolt it, disconnect it, and then just put a new one in. Okay, so I've now bolted in the gear change. So what I did was I drilled out and put some M8 rivnuts in there. So I haven't got the tool, won't go to M8. So what you do is you wind in a bolt with a nut on and a washer to reduce the tension. Yeah, so you just wind the bolt through so it goes right through the riv nut, and then you support. I mean, I'm using these socket heads, but you could just use an ordinary bolt. So you support the top of the bolt or the socket head with either a ratchet or a spanner, and then you wind that nut down, and what that does is it does the same as a tool. So it basically pulls the riv nut up and squeezes it onto the metal and compresses it in there. So that's how I had to do the M8s anyway, so that they were quite successful. And so yeah, that's all bolted in now, nice and solid. So that's job out. That job's out the way now. The next issue I've now got is with the handbrake. So as you can see, the handbrake's going to land right in the middle of the gear change. Well, not in the middle of it, but you can see it's just in on it a little bit. So apparently you can put a spacer in there, and that brings the handbrake over. But I've had another idea. So what I'm going to do is undo that bolt there, make yet another bracket, but I'm going to bring the bracket down like an L shape out of 3mm, come down a bit like the bracket for the bias valve. So I'll come down here, riv nut that to there, bolt through there as well, and extend it up a wee bit, and then bolt through. So the idea is that it actually lifts the handbrake up in the air, so it keeps it up out of the way of the gear change. So as long as, you know, it doesn't go back too far, which should be absolutely fine, because you only want between, I think it's 3 and 7 clicks. So if we go for like 4 or 5 clicks, the handbrake will probably end up in this sort of position. We'll be absolutely fine. So anyway, that's what I'm going to try. And I might even, as I do the bracket, I may also put angle it so it comes over just a wee bit here, just to bring it round a little bit. So yeah, should all work. Okay, so hopefully that's the handbrake now sorted. You can see the bracket I put in there. So you saw me put the rivet nut in the floor there, drill it out and put that rivet nut in there. Yeah, so I bolted it through to the original bracket. I don't know if you can see that. So that binds it, those two bolts to the bracket and the floor. It's probably a lot stronger than the original now. And then kind of extended that and brought it towards the driver's seat just a wee bit. And you can see it biases the handbrake over enough to keep it out of the way, plus you can see it's giving it some height as well. Yeah, so that should work sweet, hopefully. And I think the gear stick now should miss the handbrake. Okay guys, that's just about it for this video. I've still got a few more jobs to do. So one of the jobs is I've got to make a battery box, which has got to be sealed, which is going to sit behind the passenger seat. So there's that to make, and run the cabling in for that to the front. And the other thing to do is round here is to make a hole for the gear selector. So I've got to work out where that goes through, make the hole, and then hopefully I can finally get some paint on it. Okay, thanks for watching guys. See you in the next one. Cheers for now.